Should you play the main storyline in Starfield? Well, that's a question that someone asked me on YouTube yesterday, and I said, you know what? I should answer this in a video. But for those of you who might be new, it is spoiler territory. So if you've not played the game yet, you've been warned. This is your only warning that you're going to get that we are entering into spoiler territory. So if you don't want the story spoiled, this is your stopping point. Everybody else, hop on board the spoiler train because we're about to talk about it. The main storyline in Starfield is about 20 hours long, and there's two important things you need to know about the main storyline that would make it is it worth it? Should I play it? Type thing for people. One is that midway through the main storyline, you're going to get access to powers, and that starts this separate sort of mission grind of you going out there and finding all of the powers in the game. Now, you don't have to find all the powers in the game if you don't want to. The main storyline just introduces you to the powers and then says, if you want more powers, here are these temples that you can go explore, and each time you explore a temple, you get another power. And these powers are special mystical things that you can do, which are completely separate from the science fiction aspect of the game of, your guns, your ships, your spacesuits, and everything else. So there's the powers aspect. And for those of you who really want to know the nitty gritty, it is the 5th quest line in the main storyline called Into the Unknown. This is technically it's the 3rd mission you receive from Constellation, but 5th, 3rd, it kind of depends on how you look at it. I consider it the 5th because there's one small step, the small neighborhood, the emptiness, back to Victera, and then Into the Unknown. Now, once you get to that quest, you've unlocked powers, and then there's the optional quest of going to the temples. So what I did on my first playthrough is I worked my way up through the main quest until I got to the powers, and then I went, oh, this feels like this is opening up a whole different aspect of the game. I'm going to ignore Constellation quests for now and just go off and explore space. So there's the aspect of, do you want to play the game up until the point you get your powers and then go off and explore the rest of the universe? There's also the perspective of, I don't want powers because it ruins my science fiction experience. So I'm going to ignore the Constellation quest entirely and just go off and do all these other things, because there's all the faction missions. I have a cat being crazy behind me, so if you hear her on the ground playing with something, she's moving boxes around. I apologize. If you want to go do like the faction quest lines for the Rangers, Ryujin Industries, the UC Vanguard, SysDef, and so on and so forth, those can be done and don't impact the main storyline whatsoever. You can also do every quest in the game, and there are hundreds of quests and hundreds of hours of quests. Plus, there's the missions that you could do and the activities and everything else. And there's space flight and space combat, and surveying planets, and space trucking, and passenger transportation, and killing pirates. And there's those quests as well. The sort of procedural quests that pop up from the mission terminals. Those can provide you with hundreds of hours of entertainment without ever needing to touch the main quest at all. So you can very much live out your spacefaring fantasy, science fiction fantasy, doing whatever it is that you want to do without ever doing Constellation quests whatsoever, which is what I've been doing with my second playthrough. I don't even know how many hours I'm in right now, but we're closing in on 100 hours, I think, and I've not done any of the Constellation quests at all beyond the initial first couple, because you do have to kind of do the first couple to get your ship to get access to the main planet, New Atlantis, and then once you've got your ship in New Atlantis, you can then begin to explore the galaxy at large. Now, the second aspect of this is kind of more for the people who want the full Starfield experience, and this is where we're heading into major spoiler territory. So the New Game Plus mechanic in this game is heavily related to the fact that you are in a multiverse, and your main character can become someone called the Starborn, who literally goes through these universes and has a different experience every time they go through. So each time you choose to, basically when you get to the end of the game, you're given a choice to stay in the universe you're in or to go into the next universe, which becomes New Game Plus 1. When you get to the end of New Game Plus 2 or New Game Plus 1, you get the option to go to New Game Plus 2. You get to the end of New Game Plus 2, you get the option to go to New Game Plus 3. And each time your powers that you get become more powerful and you can keep on going. So for those of you who want to have the ultimate power type fantasy, that's the route you're going to want to take. However, there are caveats to that, because none of your inventory goes with you, none of your outposts go with you, none of your ships go with you. The only thing you take with you when you go into a new universe is your abilities, your skills. Those do go with you. Your skills and powers, but everything else disappears. So I know what some people have done is they've said, you know what, I'm going to hold off on shipbuilding and outpost building and everything else until I've gone through New Game Plus to like level 10 or whatever it is that they want to go through. And once they've reached the point where I don't even know what the maximum is these days, to be honest with you guys, because I've never done that grind because it's not really what I'm all about. But quick commercial break, everyone, to celebrate and give thanks to all of these amazing people who keep me on the air full time. Really appreciate the support. All you got to do is join as a member. You get access to private videos. You can also do super thanks on any upload or super chats and stickers on any live stream or premiere you see. And beyond that, don't forget we're multi-streaming over on Twitch now, so you can support over there as well. Thanks so much to everybody. Let's get back to the video at hand. If you do that, then what some people have suggested is you go do the New Game Plus grind and you go through and you do the main quest as quickly as possible for each one until you get to the end, the max level, and then the max level of New Game Plus, and then start doing your ship building and your outpost building. But I don't find that to be conducive to a new player's experience because you're not really seeing the game that way. You're just rushing through. And the thing is like every time you go into a new universe, the universe itself is different. So you have different outcomes, there's different twists to things for NPCs, and there's little things that make each universe a little bit different. So at the end of the day, what it really comes down to with the main quest is what are you looking to get out of Starfield? Because if you're looking to have that, science fiction fantasy of I'm going to have a ship, I'm going to fly around, and I'm going to be this thing, whether it's a space trucker or a space marine or a trader, or I'm going to have a transport vessel, or I'm going to be a planet surveyor, or I'm going to become the world's greatest chef because gastronomy is a thing, as is cooking, or are you going to become like the universe's best shipbuilder? Like there's all these things you could do. You could literally put in thousands of hours in the game without ever touching the main quest whatsoever. But again, if you want to get the powers, you do want to go through the quest up to a certain point, and if you want to get to New Game Plus, you're going to want to take the game all the way through, and then repeat that if you want. The main quest line only makes up about 20 hours of gameplay, more or less, for the entirety of the game. Not counting the temple grind to go get all the unique powers if that's something you choose to do. My first playthrough, I literally never did that. I got the one power, or maybe the two powers. I think there was one or two powers that you get from running the main storyline all the way through without doing the optional stuff. I only ever got those two, and then the rest of it was just me with my guns, and I was very happy with that. And I don't think I really ever used the powers for anything. So again, it really is up to you. It's not mandatory by any means. Starfield, I think, is a really interesting game in that it doesn't have to ever have an end if you don't want it to. It's kind of up to you. Like, the end is when you decide to put it down and stop playing, because otherwise it's sort of this infinite universe of you can either stay in the first universe you're in and just live that fantasy out, or you can go into the next universe and have a slightly different experience and then do it again and have a slightly different experience, rinse and repeat, so on and so forth. So the main quest is by no means mandatory. It is entirely optional, and I would urge people, if this is your first time playing the game, first time playing Starfield, do the main quest up to the point that you feel comfortable with, but understand that the main quest is only about 20 hours of the gameplay, and realize that there are hundreds of hours. This is not an exaggeration. There are hundreds of hours of side quests and activities and surveying and faction missions and crafting and outpost building, and you could set up yourself to become, this mega mining baron of iron on 7 planets, and become a millionaire by farming resources. Like, there's all these things that you can do in the game that have nothing to do with the main quest. So it's kind of up to you, what kind of fantasy do you want to have in Starfield. That's my take on things anyway. If you liked it, don't forget to like, subscribe, hit the bell icon so you never miss an update. Daily streams happen here and on Twitch, and I'll see everybody in the next one. Don't forget Discord to Patreon. See you guys next time.